Welcome back. Today we're finishing out section 11.6 with a less than 0. So really the only major difference is that our parabolas, instead of opening up, are going to be opening down. So our first one, f of x opposite of x squared minus 2x plus 8. We'll switch temporarily over to the y equals notation. We'll scooch that 8 over a little bit. Notice a is not worth 1. To complete the square, we want a to be worth 1. So I'm going to factor a negative 1 just from these first two terms. So then we are doing half of the middle coefficient and squaring the result. So I'm putting in a plus 1. Don't forget to take the product of whatever you factored with that. So this plus 1 that I wrote down is really worth a minus 1. So that means I will be adding 1 as well. That way we've added 0. So y is opposite of x plus 1 quantity squared plus 9. So now that we're in this nice, neat, easy to work with format, we can tell a lot about our function. Our vertex is at -1, positive 9. Since a is less than 0, this opens down. Our axis of symmetry, also called line of symmetry. Remember, that does have to be an equation. X equals -1. Y-intercept we'll go with the original version and find f of 0. Opposite of 0 squared minus 2 times 0 plus 8. F of 0 is 8. So 0, 8 is our y-intercept. X-intercepts, first I'm going to draw just a quick, very rough sketch of the graph to see if I should bother looking for x-intercepts. So our vertex is in quadrant 2. We're going left and up. So our vertex is somewhere in Q2, negative leading coefficient, so it's opening down, so we will have 2 x-intercepts. If we were in Q2 and opening up, I wouldn't look for x-intercepts. I would just make that quick sketch to prove that there are none. Second version is faster for x-intercepts. So 0 is opposite of x plus 1 quantity squared plus 9. So we'll add x plus 1 quantity squared to both sides. So x plus 1 quantity squared is worth 9. Square to both sides, plus or minus on the side with the constant. Yes, it has to be there. Yes, even on the first step. X plus 1 is plus or minus 3. So we'll subtract 1 on both sides. X is -1 plus or minus 3. So -1 plus 3 is 2. So 2, 0 is one of our x-intercepts. -1 minus 3 is -4. So -4 is 0 is our other x-intercept. Now from there, I'm assuming that you can do the sketching on your own. So at that point, we would do the sketch. Okay, so our next one. Similar ideas going. G of x is going to be -2 x squared minus 12x minus 8. Similar kind of setup from last time. -2x squared minus 12x. I'll group that stuff together, move the 8 over. A is not 1, so we need to do a little factoring. Negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times positive 6x is negative 12x. Close it up and we've got our minus 8. Now we're ready to complete the square. So 6/2 quantity squared is 3 squared, which is 9. I'll write down a plus 9, but remember, we have to take that negative 2 into account. So really this is a minus 18. So I will add 18 as well. That way we're adding something worth 0. So then y is negative 2 by x plus 3 quantity squared plus 10. So our vertex is at negative 3, positive 10. Axis of symmetry, also called line of symmetry, x equals negative 3. A is less than 0, so this opens down. Our y-intercept, g of 0, negative 2 by 0 squared, minus 12 by 0 minus 8. So g of 0 is negative 8. 0, negative 8 is our y-intercept. Our vertex, once again, is in Q2. We're opening down, so we do have x-intercepts as well. So we'll go with the cleaned up version for the x-intercepts. So 0, negative 2 by x plus 3 quantity squared plus 10. We'll add the 2 by x plus 3 quantity squared to both sides. So x plus 3 quantity squared is worth 10. Square root of both sides, plus or minus on the side with the constant. So x plus 3 is plus or minus root 10. Subtract 3 on both sides, so x is negative 3 plus or minus root 10. And we'll turn those into ordered pairs for our x-intercepts. So negative 3 minus root 10, 0. Negative 3 plus root 10, comma 0. Okay, so that is plenty of information to sketch our graph. This one has a little bit of stretching and opens down. So that's enough going on that. We'll go ahead and sketch that one together. Let's see, most of the action is happening in a quadrant, so yeah, we'll be able to squeeze it onto this page. No problem. And so we're just doing our lines at every 1/4 inch. And it doesn't take too terribly long to make yourself a decent graph. And we'll just spin at 90, and then we have our other axis. And once again, at every 1/4 inch should be sufficient. Okay, so putting that stuff to work, my vertex is at negative 3, positive 10. So left 1, 2, 3, and up all the way to the 10. Line of symmetry, x equals negative 3. So we have a nice dotted line going right through that guy. So we're symmetric about that line. Let's see, our y-intercept 0, negative 8. That is 3 units away from the line of symmetry, so going 3 units the other side of the line of symmetry, and we have another nice, neat ordered pair there. Notice that does fit in with using the square method. So 3 squared is 9, but our a is negative 2. 9 times negative 2 is negative 18. So instead of going up 9, we drop down 18. Well, this one was at 10, so there's 10, down 8 more, 18. 1 unit away, 1 squared is 1. 1 times -2. A is -2. It's -2, so instead of going up 1, I'll drop down 2 units. 2 squared is 4. 4 times -2 is -8. Instead of going up 4, we'll drop down 8. That'll put us at the +2. So there's our parabola. It is flipped over, and because a was bigger than 1 in absolute value, it was also stretched out. Our x-intercepts, square root of 10 is a little bit bigger than square root of 9, but not much, so it's 3 point something. So -3 minus 3 point something is -6 point something. Fits in with our sketch there. -3 plus 3 point something. The plus is just a little bit bigger, so we're in the positive territory, but not quite. Nope, my apologies. No, -3 plus. Should put us at a my apologies, the x-intercepts. I had a disappearing factor. We had to clear the 2 first, so this should have been a 5. My apologies. So square root of 5, a little bit bigger than square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2, so -3 minus 2 point something, -5 point something, and -3 plus 2 point something. The negative is a little bit bigger, so we ended up in the negative territory. My apologies for the error there. I forgot to account for that too and get it out of the way. I had it sort of accidentally disappear there. Okay, one more of these guys with a less than 0. And we'll do your homework, and you can try out any of those negatives. Alright, so our last one, h of x, -5 x squared plus 30x minus 43. So y is -5x squared plus 30x. Scooch over the -43. So we've moved our constant over just a little bit and switched over to y equals notation from function notation. A is not worth 1, so we have a little factoring after that. -5 times x squared, -5x squared, -5 times -6x is positive 30x. Leave a little room and close it up. Next we do a little bit of the completing the square. Half of -6 quantity squared is -3 in parentheses quantity squared. Yes, we need the parentheses there because we want a +9, not a -9. I wrote a +9, but remember with this -5 here, this is really worth a -45. So I'm going to have to add 45 as well. That way I have a -45 and a +45. I've added 0. So then y is -5 by x minus 3 quantity squared plus 2. And we have all our relevant information from that. So our vertex is at 3, 2. Our line of symmetry, also called axis of symmetry, x equals +3. A is less than 0, so this opens down. We're in Q1 and opening down, so we do have 2 x-intercepts. We always have a y-intercept if we have a quadratic function. It does have to be a function to guarantee that. So our y-intercept, automatically x is equal to 0. H of 0, -5 times 0 squared plus 30 times 0 minus 43. H of 0 is -43. So 0, -43 is our y-intercept. Our x-intercepts, we know they exist because, again, vertex was in Q1 and we're opening down. So we would have to hit that x-axis. Again, the cleaned up version is the easier one to use there. So 0 is -5 by x minus 3 quantity squared plus 2. We'll add 5 by x minus 3 quantity squared to both sides. So 5 by x minus 3 quantity squared is worth 2. By both sides by 5. So x minus 3 quantity squared is 2/5. Take the square root of both sides, plus or minus on the side with the constant. And we'll go ahead and rationalize that denominator as well. It's a nice practice. So x minus 3 is plus or minus root 10 over root 5 squared. Root 5 squared is 5, so x minus 3 is plus or minus root 10 over 5. We'll add 3 to both sides. So x is 3 plus or minus root 10 over 5. So 3 minus root 10 over 5. 0 is one of our x-intercepts. 3 plus root 10 over 5, comma 0 is our other. So from there, you have all the tools you need to sketch that graph. Let's see, let's talk homework in 11.6. Grab the sheet here. In 11.6, just finish what you had from the other video. So if you don't have it written from the other video, 1 to 10 all, 11, 17 odd, 19 to 22 all, and 23 to 53 every other odd. You've already done most of this, so now you're handling a less than 0. Any questions? Please feel free to get in touch with me. Otherwise, I will talk to you next time.